Your heart is racing. Your palms are sweating. Your breathing is shallow and rapid. Your mind is spinning with worst-case scenarios, and every muscle in your body feels coiled like a spring ready to snap. You know logically that you're safe, that there's no real danger, but your body doesn't seem to be getting the message. You're trapped in fight or flight mode, and despite your best efforts to calm down, think positive thoughts or just relax, your nervous system seems determined to keep you in this state of high alert. You've tried deep breathing, but it only seems to make the panic worse. You've tried positive self-talk, but your mind won't stop racing. You've tried distraction, but the physical sensations are too overwhelming to ignore. You start to wonder if something is seriously wrong with you, if you're losing control, or if you'll ever feel normal again. The harder you try to force yourself to calm down, the more activated you seem to become. What if I told you that you're not broken, and this isn't a sign of weakness or mental illness? What if this overwhelming activation is actually your nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do, but it's gotten stuck in a pattern that was meant to be temporary? What if the key to getting out of fight or flight mode isn't trying harder to relax, but understanding how to work with your body's own built-in reset mechanisms? The secret lies in your vagus nerve, the master controller of your parasympathetic nervous system and your body's natural antidote to fight or flight activation. When you understand how to properly activate your vagus nerve, you can literally flip the biological switch from stress to calm, from chaos to peace, from overwhelming activation to regulated presence. This isn't about willpower or positive thinking. This is about working with your physiology to help your nervous system remember how to return to its natural state of balanced alertness, not fight or flight. Mode is a brilliant survival mechanism that has kept humans alive for thousands of years. When your brain perceives a threat, your sympathetic nervous system instantly activates, flooding your body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate increases to pump blood to your muscles. Your breathing becomes rapid. To increase oxygen intake, your pupils dilate to improve vision, and your muscles tense in preparation for action. Blood flow is redirected away from non-essential functions like digestion and immune responses toward the organs and systems you need for immediate survival. This entire response happens within milliseconds, without any conscious thought or decision-making. It's completely automatic and incredibly effective when you're facing genuine physical danger. If a car is speeding toward you, you want this system to activate instantly, giving you the speed and strength to jump out of the way. The problem is that this system can also activate in response to perceived threats that aren't actually dangerous, like public speaking, work deadlines, relationship conflicts, or even just thinking about stressful situations. In the modern world, we're constantly exposed to stimuli that trigger our threat detection systems without providing the physical outlet that fight or flight responses were designed for. You can't literally run away from a difficult email or punch your way out of a traffic jam. Your nervous system activates as if your life is in danger, but there's no appropriate physical response that would naturally discharge this activation and signal to your system that the threat has passed. This is where many people get stuck. Their fight or flight system turns on, but never turns off. They become trapped in a state of chronic sympathetic activation, with stress hormones constantly circulating through their system, muscles perpetually tense, heart rate elevated, and breathing shallow. Over time, this chronic activation becomes their new normal, and they lose touch with what genuine calm and relaxation actually feel like. The key to escaping this trap lies in understanding that fight or flight activation isn't something you can think your way out of. It's a physiological state that requires physiological interventions to resolve. Your body is flooded with stress chemicals and locked into specific patterns of tension and activation. Trying to calm down through mental effort alone is like trying to stop a fire by thinking peaceful thoughts about water instead of actually using water to put out the flames. This is where your vagus nerve becomes absolutely crucial. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body, stretching from your brainstem down through your neck, chest, and into your abdomen. It's the primary pathway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of your autonomic nervous system responsible for rest, healing, digestion, and recovery. When your vagus nerve is functioning properly, it acts like a biological brake pedal, capable of quickly down-regulating fight or flight responses and returning your body to a state of calm alertness. But here's what most people don't understand. Your vagus nerve doesn't just automatically kick in when you want to feel calm. It needs specific signals and stimulation to activate effectively, especially when your sympathetic nervous system is highly activated. Learning how to consciously stimulate your vagus nerve gives you direct access to your body's own natural calming mechanisms. The first and most immediate tool for vagus nerve activation is specialized breathing. Not just any deep breathing, but specific patterns that directly stimulate parasympathetic responses. The most effective technique involves making your exhale significantly longer than your inhale, particularly when you breathe out slowly through pursed lips or while making soft sounds. This pattern directly activates your vagus nerve because it's intimately connected to your respiratory system through something called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. Here's what's happening physiologically. When you breathe in, your heart rate naturally speeds up slightly. When you breathe out, especially when you extend the exhale, your heart rate slows down. This slowing of the heart rate during exhalation is directly controlled by your vagus nerve. By making your exhales longer than your inhales, you're essentially giving your vagus nerve a direct workout, strengthening its ability to activate your body's relaxation response. The specific technique that's most effective for getting out of fight or flight mode is called the physiological sigh. You take a normal inhale through your nose, then add a second, smaller inhale on top of the first one, followed by a long, slow exhale through your mouth. The pattern is inhale, mini inhale, long exhale. This technique works so effectively because the double inhale maximizes oxygen uptake while the extended exhale provides maximum vagal stimulation. But breathing is just the beginning of your vagus nerve reset toolkit. Cold exposure provides another remarkably powerful way to shift out of fight or flight mode. When you expose your face, wrists, or neck to cold water, it triggers what's called the dive response, an ancient physiological mechanism that immediately activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This response evolved to help mammals survive underwater by rapidly slowing heart rate and conserving oxygen. You don't need extreme cold exposure to trigger this response. Simply splashing cold water on your face, holding ice cubes against your wrists, or even drinking ice water can begin to activate vagal pathways and interrupt fight or flight activation. The cold exposure works so quickly because it directly stimulates the trigeminal nerve in your face, which has direct connections to your vagus nerve. Vocalization represents another direct pathway to vagus nerve activation. Your vagus nerve innervates the muscles of your throat, larynx, and vocal cords. When you hum, sing, gargle, or make other vocal sounds, you're directly stimulating vagal pathways. This is why many people instinctively make sighing sounds when they're trying to release tension, or why humming can feel naturally calming. For getting out of fight or flight mode, specific vocal techniques can be particularly effective. Long, low humming sounds create vibrations that stimulate the vagus nerve. Gargling with water provides direct stimulation of vagal pathways in your throat. Even exaggerated yawning can help activate parasympathetic responses. The key is making sounds that feel soothing rather than stimulating. Progressive muscle relaxation works particularly well for fight or flight recovery because it addresses both the physical tension and the nervous system activation simultaneously. When you're in fight or flight mode, Your muscles are locked into patterns of tension in preparation for action. By consciously tensing and then releasing different muscle groups throughout your body, you're teaching your nervous system the difference between activation and relaxation, while providing direct signals that it's safe to let go. The technique involves systematically working through your body, tensing each muscle group for 5 to 10 seconds, then releasing and noticing the contrast between tension and relaxation. Start with your feet and work your way up through your legs, abdomen, arms, shoulders, and face. The release phase of each cycle activates parasympathetic responses and helps discharge the physical energy that's been trapped in fight or flight activation. Grounding techniques that connect you to your physical environment can also help interrupt fight or flight responses by bringing your awareness back to the present moment and providing evidence that you're currently safe. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique involves identifying 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This sensory awareness helps redirect your nervous system's attention away from internal alarm signals toward neutral external information. Physical grounding can be equally effective. Feeling your feet on the ground, pressing your back against a wall, or holding a heavy object can help your nervous system register that you're in a stable, safe environment rather than in immediate danger. These physical sensations provide concrete evidence that contradicts the threat signals your nervous system is generating. Movement can be incredibly effective for discharging fight or flight activation, but it needs to be the right kind of movement. Intense exercise can actually increase sympathetic activation if your system is already overwhelmed. Instead, gentle, rhythmic movements like walking, swaying, stretching, or simple yoga poses can help your body naturally process and release the energy that's been mobilized. For fight or flight responses, shaking is a particularly powerful technique that mimics the natural discharge behaviors that animals use to release trauma and stress. After escaping from a predator, wild animals will literally shake off the activation, allowing their nervous systems to return to normal. Humans have largely lost this instinctive response, but you can consciously engage it by allowing your body to shake, tremor, or vibrate in whatever way feels natural. Social connection and co-regulation represent some of the most powerful tools for getting out of fight or flight mode, though they can be challenging to access when you're highly activated. Your nervous system naturally regulates in the presence of other calm, regulated nervous systems. When you're around someone who feels genuinely safe and peaceful, their nervous system can help stabilize yours through unconscious signals communicated through voice tone, facial expressions, and body language. If you don't have access to a calming person, even connecting with a pet, looking at photos of loved ones, or imagining being held by someone who makes you feel safe can help activate your social engagement system and support nervous system regulation. The key is focusing on relationships that feel unconditionally safe rather than relationships that create more stress or activation. Environmental modifications can significantly support your ability to get out of fight or flight mode. Harsh lighting, loud noises, cluttered spaces, and chaotic environments all send subtle threat signals to your nervous system. Creating or finding environments that feel peaceful, soft, and organized can help support your nervous system's shift toward regulation. This might involve dimming lights, reducing noise, creating comfortable physical spaces, or even just stepping outside into nature. Natural environments tend to be particularly effective for nervous system regulation because humans evolved in natural settings, and our nervous systems often find them inherently calming. The timing of your interventions can dramatically impact their effectiveness. The earlier you can intervene in a fight or flight response, the easier it is to redirect. If you can recognize the early signs of activation, perhaps increased heart rate, shallow breathing, or racing thoughts, and begin using vagus nerve reset techniques immediately, You can often prevent the full escalation of fight or flight mode. But even if you're already in full activation, these techniques can still be effective. It might take longer to see results, and you might need to combine multiple approaches, but your nervous system retains its capacity to shift into parasympathetic states even when it's highly activated. Understanding the difference between acute fight or flight episodes and chronic sympathetic activation is important for choosing appropriate interventions. Acute episodes are typically intense, but relatively brief responses to specific triggers. Chronic activation is a more subtle but persistent state of elevated stress that can last for days, weeks, or even months. For acute episodes, immediate vagus nerve reset techniques like the physiological sigh, cold exposure, or progressive muscle relaxation can be very effective. For chronic activation, you typically need a more comprehensive approach that includes consistent daily practices to strengthen vagal tone over time, lifestyle modifications that reduce chronic stressors, and often professional support to address underlying patterns that maintain chronic activation. The concept of window of tolerance is crucial for understanding why some people get stuck in fight or flight mode more easily than others. Your window of tolerance represents the range of activation your nervous system can handle while still maintaining the capacity for self-regulation. When stressors push you outside this window, you shift into defensive states like fight or flight or shutdown. People with narrow windows of tolerance, often due to trauma, chronic stress, or genetic factors, may find themselves in fight or flight mode more frequently and have more difficulty getting out of these states. For these individuals, the goal isn't just learning techniques to manage acute episodes, but gradually expanding their window of tolerance through consistent nervous system strengthening practices, building long-term resilience to fight or flight. Activation involves regular practices that strengthen your vagus nerve and improve your overall nervous system flexibility. This might include daily breathing exercises, regular cold exposure, consistent movement practices, adequate sleep, stress management, and maintaining supportive relationships. The goal isn't to never experience fight or flight activation. It's a normal and healthy response to genuine threats. The goal is to maintain your nervous system's natural capacity to activate when appropriate, and then return to regulation when the threat passes. This flexibility is what researchers call nervous system resilience. Trauma history can significantly impact your ability to get out of fight or flight mode, as trauma often creates patterns of chronic nervous system dysregulation. If you have a history of trauma, it's often helpful to work with trauma-informed professionals who understand how trauma affects nervous system function and can guide you through the healing process safely. Some people may initially find vagus nerve activation techniques triggering if their nervous systems have learned to interpret relaxation as dangerous. This is a common trauma response, and it's important to approach nervous system work slowly and gently, perhaps with professional support. The integration of vagus nerve reset techniques with other therapeutic approaches can be particularly powerful. Therapy can help address the psychological aspects of anxiety and stress, while vagus nerve work addresses the physiological components. Medications, when appropriate, can provide the stability needed to engage in nervous system healing work. Lifestyle factors play crucial roles in your ability to get out of fight or flight mode. Poor sleep, inadequate nutrition, lack of exercise, social isolation, and chronic stressors all contribute to nervous system dysregulation and make it harder to access calm states. Addressing these factors creates the foundation that makes vagus nerve reset techniques more effective. Technology can both help and hinder your ability to regulate your nervous system. Heart rate variability monitors can provide real-time feedback about your nervous system state and help you track the effectiveness of different techniques. Meditation apps, breathing apps, and other digital tools can support your practice. But excessive screen time, social media, and exposure to alarming news can all contribute to chronic activation. The long-term vision of mastering vagus nerve. Reset techniques goes beyond just managing crisis moments. The goal is developing the kind of nervous system resilience that allows you to navigate life's inevitable challenges with greater ease and grace. You learn to recognize early signs of activation and intervene before you become overwhelmed. You develop confidence in your ability to self-regulate, which reduces anxiety about anxiety and creates positive cycles of nervous system health. Many people find that as they become more skilled at vagus nerve reset techniques, they not only spend less time in fight or flight mode, but they also develop greater access to positive emotional states like joy, curiosity, and connection. They feel more present in their relationships, more creative in their work, and more capable of enjoying simple pleasures. Your fight or flight response is not your enemy. It's a sophisticated survival system that has served humans well for thousands of years. The problem isn't the activation itself, but getting stuck in activation when it's no longer needed. Your vagus nerve holds the key to restoring your nervous system's natural flexibility, allowing you to activate when appropriate and return to peace when it's safe to do so. Learning to work with your vagus nerve isn't just about managing stress or anxiety. It's about reclaiming your birthright of feeling calm, present, and peacefully alert in your own body. With the right tools and understanding, you can transform your relationship with activation from one of helplessness and fear to one of confidence and self-mastery.